Hello and welcome to Guiding Gettysburg. Today we are going to go back. Instead of 1863, we're going back to 1963. And it was a very special year here in Gettysburg. Can you imagine you're sitting in your house on the couch on a Sunday afternoon and all of a sudden two Secret Service men appear at your front door? And you're wondering what you did, especially since you're ex-military, and out of the blue, these guys just show up and are demanding to see you. Well, this is what happened to Colonel Jacob Sheeds of Gettysburg. Colonel Sheeds served in the war in World War II and in Korea, and he was quite well known in town. After he retired from the military, he became a history teacher in the Gettysburg School District. And he was quite a teacher indeed, from what I heard. I spoke with one of his students who was an adult, and she told me at the time that he had his class walk from Gettysburg to Chambersburg and back so they could experience what the Confederates experienced during the Civil War. Can you imagine that? Now, I'm sure the students weren't forced to do it, but it was probably a neat experience for those of the students that wanted to do it. And she did go on the tour, and she said it was quite something. You know, it took a long time. It's 25 miles between the two cities, so you can imagine what a group of high school students did along the way. But anyway, everybody knew Colonel Sheeds. He was a licensed battlefield guide as well, and a seasonal historian at the Park Service, and so he was quite well known. But the day that these Secret Service agents came to his door, they had a specific request, and that was to give a tour of the Gettysburg battlefield to President John F. Kennedy. You see, President Kennedy was at Camp David for the weekend with some of his family members, and all of a sudden he thought, wouldn't it be nice to go to Gettysburg and have a tour for everybody? And so he told his Secret Service agents that he wanted a tour on Sunday after church, and they were instructed to find a guide. And there are two different stories about how they found Colonel Sheeds. One is that Colonel Sheeds' daughter worked in Washington, D.C. She worked either at the Pentagon or the White House. I'm not sure which one, but she was dating a Secret Service officer. And they made the connection because she told them about her father, and so the guy relayed the message to his fellow agents. The second story I heard was about one of Colonel Sheeds' students whose relative was in the Secret Service, and you know, the message was passed along that way. So I don't really know which one is accurate, but I like the one about his daughter, you know, dating a Secret Service agent. That's the one I heard the most, so we'll go with that one. You can choose the other if you like. So these two guys show up on this porch. Colonel Sheeds was relaxing on the couch on a Sunday afternoon, and they said, would you be willing to take President Kennedy on a tour? And Sheeds couldn't refuse a request like that, especially from, the President of the United States of all things. So he said, sure, I'll be glad to. The Secret Service then briefed Sheeds on what they wanted him to do, what sites that they wanted to go on the tour, and how it would be given, and what would be said, pretty much, that kind of thing. So Colonel Sheeds agreed to it, and a few hours later he was at the meeting place on Emmitsburg Road, which happened to be a bowling alley, a pretty indiscreet place, but that's where he met John F. Kennedy, and Kennedy was driving a convertible at the time, and it's said by the Secret Service that Kennedy really had a lead foot when he was in Gettysburg, and he drove very quickly, and they did not like him driving. They wanted a Secret Service agent to drive the car, but Kennedy had nothing to do with that. So Kennedy and Sheets met up and they began the tour. All of a sudden, the Secret Service says they wanted the tour reversed from what it was originally supposed to be. Instead of going in one direction, they were going to go 360, and that's very confusing for a tour guide. Believe me, I know, when you go out of order, it just does something to your whole program. And I can sympathize with Colonel Sheets because that must have really put a monkey wrench in the works. Not only that, you have all this tension because you're meeting with the president and his family, and you have newsmen and Secret Service agents, and what a stressful tour. I don't think I've ever had such a stressful tour, but one time I did have a room full of IRS agents, and boy, that was a hard audience to deal with, I'll tell you. But looking back on it now, it was a lot of fun, and I'm sure Colonel Sheets thought the same thing. So he took Jackie and the family around Gettysburg, and Kennedy drove the whole time, and Sheets was in the car with him. And there's a picture of everybody in the car, and you can see that. It was quite famous, and everybody knew about Gettysburg after that, and it was on the news, and it said that they had a very good time. And unfortunately, it wouldn't be long until November of 1963 when Kennedy was assassinated. So for the people of Gettysburg, on March 31st of 63, they shared a very special time with our president, and they will always remember it. And it's recorded at the Historical Society, and places where you go, you see Kennedy everywhere. So I hope you enjoyed this story. It's a little different, but in honor of Election Day, I thought I'd give you something a little more along those lines of political stories. So you take care. I hope you enjoyed this, and please tell your friends about our channel. Thank you. See you next time. Bye-bye.